So to give you an example, the word wildfire doesn't have an exact sign equivalent. So we would fingerspell the word first, and then for that particular sign, what we would likely do is modulate the sign for fire. So there is a sign for fire, but in order to describe a wildfire, we would modulate the sign so that it shows something burning out of control and over a vast area really quickly, as Jackie is doing here. So it's not that we have an exact sign equivalent, it's that the interpreter needs to know what a wildfire is and what that looks like in nature, and then she can make that visually accessible for the deaf community. I would say the challenge that the deaf and the hard of hearing communities face in a disaster is just like that which they face every day, which is communication. Our community struggles on a daily basis with communicating with the greater hearing public, and if there is a disaster that's impacting their lives, livelihood, or homes, obviously they want the information they need to be safe just as much as our hearing community does. Unfortunately, historically, that information has just not been accessible. Media broadcasts are supposed to be captioned. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. Or sometimes the way that they're captioned is such that a person with any level of vision loss can't see them. And then there's almost never a sign language interpreter on screen. So for deaf community members whose primary language is American Sign Language, they have a really hard time accessing the information that they need to be safe. We created a curriculum for the ERIC program, and that includes training in disaster-specific vocabulary and procedures that we most often see in Arizona. The disasters that we addressed were wildfire, nuclear incidents, flooding, and extreme heat or power outage. Those are things that we see on an annual basis in the state, so we wanted to make sure our interpreters were prepared for that in terms of not only what they look like, but what vocabulary they might encounter along the way, and what the procedure is for dealing with those disasters so that they can integrate themselves seamlessly into that.